Hi, everybody. My name's David Potier, and I'm the CEO for TellusLabs. I'm here today to talk with everyone about a family photo album, and it's an unusual one. So if you've been on Earth all morning and most of yesterday, then you were in the frame, because the photos in this album are images of the entire planet, and the photographers are spacecraft that are silently orbiting 90 minutes pole to pole, assembling a mosaic of our planet from overhead every day. There's a lot of them up there. This is an image of just the fleet of science vehicles that are operated primarily by NASA and the European Space Agency. This is an amazing record of planet Earth. It's a daily cadence record. They've been at this for decades, looking at almost everything, almost everywhere. And collectively, that photo album, unfortunately, has very rarely been put to practical use for day-to-day problem solving. More often than not, just a few pages of the family photo album are in flight, and it's typically against science questions, important ones. But at TellusLabs, we think something else is possible. And part of the reason why it's rare that the family photo album gets put to active use is that the pages look like this right out of the sensor. So it is tough to work with imagery from on orbit. And at TellusLabs, we spend a lot of time essentially building a clean view of the Earth's surface. And that's a lot of analytics and remote sensing to make that happen. And once we have that clean view of the ground, we put it in context. So we take that clean imagery and put it in context with what's happening right here on planet Earth, like weather and ground observations. And then every day, we assemble a set of vital signs, essentially the pulse of the planet. And by putting that Earth database in contact with modern machine learning tools, we can actually start asking and answering real questions. Now, you could put a machine like that, you could point it almost anywhere at almost anything. We call this Argus, our stack for doing this kind of work. We've chosen to point our stack at agriculture. We think that's a good place to start. You know, it represents $8 trillion in the global economy. Collectively, it drives 1.3 billion jobs worldwide. But more importantly, thanks to climate change, economics, and demography, that food system is weaker today than it's ever been in modern times. It's going to take a lot of innovation to close that coming food gap and really the existing food gap. But we think what certainly doesn't help is the fact that there is no single clear, consistent view of the global harvest. We can't see our own harvests, even though they play out underneath the sky every day. And my co-founder and I, Mark Friedel, Professor Mark Friedel from Boston University, we decided to try to change that last summer. So in a beta program, we began forecasting the yield of corn and soy for the United States every day at 9 a.m. By the end of the beta, we had 600 people from around the world, researchers, grain traders, academics following us, and they were witness to a pretty remarkable result. Our fall forecast called exactly the yield for soybeans, 52.1 bushels per acre. And more importantly, we entered to within 1% of that final closeout number 2 months prior to the USDA. And that was in a record-breaking year. It was actually the highest harvest of soybean in the history of the United States. So we've been pretty busy as a team in the 9 months since then. The data scientists and engineers at TellusLabs have taken those algorithms that we built last summer, scaled them to Argentina. We did our first international forecast in the spring. And we're proud to say that we've welcomed aboard our first cohort of commercial customers only a month and a half ago. So in July, we commissioned an app and an API that we call Kernel. And it's the first global, clear, consistent platform for agricultural intelligence. We're really proud of what Kernel does today, and where it's headed is even more excited. So we'll take it this winter to Argentina and Brazil. And when we do that, we'll be covering 85% of all of the world's soy and 50% of all the world's corn. And we're just getting warmed up. We've got a dozen more countries to stand up, and we have new crops to add. And we're working through partnership agreements where we can actually do the same kind of analysis that you see here at the national scale, all the way down to individual farms. And we're excited about partnering with nonprofit and non-government actors to be able to get some of these signals down to the farms that need this kind of information the most. So that's a little bit about TellusLabs, and we're just delighted to be able to share our mission with you this morning, thanks to Singularity University.
Congratulations, TellusLabs.
So I think we've got our general managers in the crowd and our head of product. You guys want to come up real quick too? We'll do this together.